What is up, everybody? Testing. Let's make sure you can hear me. Um, let's make sure we're good. Are we sounding? Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Let's see. Because I don't see the microphone. Oh no, it does say there is some sound, so I think we're good. Just double checking. Let's see. Nope. Yep, we're good. All right. All right. Oh, and I'm streaming on the cybersecurity side of things, so I guess I should probably talk about cybersecurity too. All right, what is up, everybody, man? It feels like it's been forever since the last time I was on stream. When was the last time? It's probably been almost a month now since like the last time I did one of these. Um, hold on. We got, like I said, we got some catching up to do, folks. We got a lot of catching up to do. It's funny. Well, I found something funny today, but let me see. Whew. I'm not even touching that, man. I don't even want to get into that. It's ridiculous. Okay. All right. So let me see. The last time I was on live, yeah, it had to be had to be about a month ago, man. It's been a while, but I'm back for for now, I guess. Every I'm trying to get back in the habit of doing these so that it becomes a regular routine for me again. Um, but this summer has been just one thing after the other, and it's just been like interesting time. Like it's been fun. I'm not even gonna lie. It's been fun, but it's been exhausting. Um, So for those who are new here, this is the Alpha Esports Technology channel. You're also watching on my personal stream or the DJax one on Twitch. I'm multi-streaming and I'm actually streaming to Alpha Cybersecurity right now, which I probably shouldn't be streaming to since we're not going to be talking too much cybersecurity. You might get into it a little bit, but whatever. We're chopping it up. But yeah, man, it's been a while since the last time. We've had a lot go on here at the center. We've had a lot go on just in general. Honestly, we've competed in tournaments. We've held camps. We streamed our own event. Actually, that's the last time I streamed, but I didn't actually kick it with y'all. So the last time we streamed was probably about 2 weeks ago when we did the RL bot tournament at the end of our camp. So, but we're gonna get into all of that. So just let me know in the comments how things are going. How's your week been? It's Thursday, so it's actually the day before the 4th of July. So whether you celebrate or not, tomorrow should be a day off for most. So just let me know how you doing, how you feeling, what's going on, you know, and let's chop it up. But yeah, it's we've been since the last time we've chatted. Um, I have been all over the place, man. We went back up to I went back up to Connecticut for a wedding. One of my closest and dearest friends got married. He's actually in our streamer crew as well. So shout out to Kron Games. That uh, hold on. Yep, shout out to Kron Games. We went up to CT to see him get married to him and with his beautiful bride. So took the family up there. Like I'll even give y'all. I mean, I'll even show y'all some. Nope, that's not gameplay. That's not. That's not. That's wrong. Let's see what's going on here. Why isn't this screen sharing? There we go. There we go. So yeah, so that was the grooms and thing. So we have a thing that we've done for years where we stand on couches. That's how you know we're having a good time. We gotta find a couch to stand on. But yeah, like I said, went up there to celebrate my bro's nuptials. So again, shout out to him and his beautiful bride. And then we came back down. Oh boy, we came back down, and I was here for about 3 days, and then we headed right back out to North Carolina for the for the Amateur Esports Association's national tournament. So we went out there and competed, and I want to say super proud of my team there. Um, we were able to go and compete with high schoolers. We competed against high schoolers, and this is as you can see, this is a middle school team. But we went out there and did our best, and we actually did pretty well. I'm very proud of them. Um, hey, you're looking for a new job. I hope. Well, best of luck to you. Um, I'm not hiring at the moment, but I'm pretty sure if you're watching from LinkedIn, I mean, you're in the right place to help you with that. So yeah, so like I said, so we went out to North Carolina last weekend, um, and competed in that tournament, and like I said, we did well. Came in 17th place out of a bunch of teams. We actually beat out some high schools. So again, proud of my guys. So shout out to Benjamin Rush. Um, Shout out to Ketchup. Shout out to CA 2187. And shout out to Destiny Ames. What's going on, Ty? I know a long time. Like I was just saying, I said it's been it's been a crazy time, like I said. So even if we go back before the wedding, man, we've been running summer camps all summer. So I'll see if I can share some of that. So like I said, we did summer camps all summer where we probably my favorite camp so far has been the coding with Rocket League camps. As you see, we got our campers here. They're actually, you would think they're watching gameplay, but they're actually reviewing their bots. They're reviewing the bots that they were coding in Rocket League, and and then from there, figuring out what they wanted their bot to do. And then we did research and worked on different things. So now their bots were able to end up competing against each other. And like I said, it was done with all code. So that was probably the favorite camp, just because of the everything that how it played out. Like I'll show another one. So this was at the end of camp. We did like a little mini open house, had the parents come, and the kids got to introduce their bots to their parents, and then this is the live stream. This is the last time we were on live. So you see, it's just a quick clip, but they were watching it on the screen, and then we were sharing it on the thing here. Don't look at that. um and we're doing just doing a lot of different uh, learning a lot of different topics in Python. So yeah, like I said, we've been doing a lot of stuff and just been all over the place. So I'm glad to kind of get back to some kind of normalcy. It's been okay. Hold on. I see your comment, Ty. I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, man, like I said, yeah, glad to kind of get back into a regular, somewhat of a regular schedule because I still do work full time as a consultant, an application security consultant. So we do that, run our camps and everything. So I am lacking in the sleep department, but again, it's been really fun, and now we're kind of gearing back up to get ready for back to school. My my oldest is actually heading off to college very soon, so we're kind of counting down to that point as well. So yeah, we got a lot going on. So all right, so you said you're grinding with the bug bounty boot camp and doing stuff on Hacker One. When you what do you're stuck with recon? What recon? Well, for one, if you're doing bug bounty, that means you're doing applications. I guess we are going to talk cybersecurity. So good. The Alpha Cybersecurity channel is being utilized in the right way. Um, so if you're doing bug bounties, you're doing the application. So is it a web app? Is it a mobile app? What type of app is it, and what recon are you? What are you trying to get out of it? Obviously, without breaking NDAs. Hey, I appreciate the comments. Thank you. I'm trying, but we do it because of the support that you guys give. So appreciate you. Oh, Angie. Hey, Ange. I had to see because it's LinkedIn. It doesn't tell me sometimes who's the one chatting. But how you doing, Ange? Actually, Ange, I'm gonna send you a message. Now's a good time to even talk about it as well. So, one of the other things that we're doing as we're fighting all the site under a wild card. Did you mean to say finding? Because it said fighting. Because if you're scanning under if you're scanning with a wild card, then I'm missing a microphone. Oh, there it is. If you're scanning with a wild card, then what you're doing, so you're enumerating every subdomain or everything in that domain, right? So if you do wild card, so can I bring this? I'm trying to figure out how I can break this up. Whiteboard session. Yeah, so if you're so if you're wild carding, you're basically trying to find everything under that. Okay, so yeah, you're directory brute forcing with GoBuster. Um, have you done a targeted one first? And Ange, if you're still here, I'm gonna send you a message. Well, I'm gonna talk about it next, but I appreciate the thank you for the comment. Does my soundboard work? Yep, it works. Okay. So Ty, if you are using GoBuster, I would before you go and do a brute force for any and everything with that wild card, I would do a more direct approach first. Yeah, okay, so you have it. I would do a more direct I would uh let me think about how I want to say this because the whole purpose of GoBuster is to kind of go through and find everything that you can. What other scans are you running while that's running? Because and how big is your word list? So when I say fine, when I say do a more direct scan, I mean don't try to don't use a massive don't do a massive word list when you're doing that, because I mean there's a lot of words that aren't really that you pretty much can determine aren't going to be included depending on the application you're looking for. You're doing a DNS search since it's the wild card. Okay, and I'm so where's the okay, so you're using all right, so here's the thing. I would I would consider using Seclist is a good list, but I would consider, you know, trying to create a list of your own, generating a list of your own. Um, just because when was the last time Seclist was updated? When was the last time Seclist was updated? And no, not okay. Actually, I'm gonna shut up because it looks like okay. Hold on. So Seclist for fuzzing was actually updated 4 days ago. Discovery 7 hours ago. He looks like he added some stuff. Okay. All right. Well, then I take it back. I was gonna say, when was the last time Seclist was updated? And are you gonna do a? Should you probably consider using something that's a little bit more current? But think looks like Seclist is current. You got to forgive me. Like I said, I'm still not back in, I'm still not back in the game 100%. You know, someone actually, I ran into somebody at Micro Center today, and they said they said I was the Andre 3000 of cybersecurity. I was the Andre 3000 of infosec. And it's funny because it took me it took me a second to actually see what he was saying, and I was like, oh, you know what? I guess so, because I'm not that active in the infosec scene anymore. I mean, I do my talks and presentations. I'm just low profile now. Um, so yeah, focusing everything on the center and stuff like that. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been uh, active. Yeah, no, the skills are. I mean, the skills are still there. You know, like I said, I'm teaching, right? So, and that's going to actually be a good segue into what I was going to talk to Ange about. But yeah, you know, I'm teaching and doing stuff like that. So you know, I'm still keeping up on it. But like I said, as far as like being in the weeds every day, I'm not gonna lie, that's been somewhat refreshing to not have to like get up and dedicate like a part of my morning to or a part of my day to kind of grinding certain things out. But yeah, but like I said, you know, I do stay up to date with most things because the fact that I'm teaching, which segues into what I was going to mention before. So Ange, if you're still here, I'm running a career exploration club for teens and young adults, like just getting out of high school or getting into college, and thinking of pursuing a career in tech. So I'm looking for different people to just kind of, you know, speak to their experiences and talk about what, you know, their topic of interest. So we're gonna be doing like from the basics of basics, and then we're gonna go into um, networking, and then cloud, then cybersecurity, and then AI. and then we're gonna put it all together in week six. Okay, I saw OSCP pop up on my screen. I was thinking about doing the OSCP, but honestly, I'm skills focused now. Don't they have a web app? They have a web app cert now. I would take a look at that one too if you're really looking at doing the if you're really talking about jumping into bug bounties and application testing, then you might want to consider that. Actually, there's a couple out there. There's the one that I'm actually interested in that I've been going back and forth on whether or not I'm gonna do it as a part of my rabbit hole training. Is um, the try not try hack me hack the boxes app pen tester web app pen tester certification. So but again, it's like I have to see the value in it right now. Like I said, from for what I do on the consultant side of things, it's more it's more on the operation side of things. So it's like dealing with the procedures and stuff like that. And then I do hands on. So but hands on isn't the priority. It's not my main focus right now. But I like I said, I may do it again just because we'll see how deep we go with the training route. Right now, I'm dealing with a lot of kids and teens and young adults. I don't want to call them kids, but teens and young adults that aren't quite sure where they fit in the grand scheme of things. So OSCP is steep right now. Plus they yeah. I mean, you got to do you got to do what's you got to do what's you got to do what's best for you. You got to do what fits. All these certifications, they're all these companies, and they're getting bought up by these firms, and now they're raising their rates, and they're changing up how the certs are done and stuff. Um, and then stuff is rough right now. Things are things are really we're in a real different time right now. Um, so I would say, without going into too much detail, yeah, you got to do what's best for you, especially financially. You got to do what works best. Now, if there's an opportunity to get if the certification is an investment towards a higher salary, then obviously that's I'm not going to say it's a no brainer, but then it's more of a informed decision than just doing it just for your own purposes. Like if you know the cert is going to get you a raise, or if you're working somewhere and they're going to reimburse it, then yeah. But if you're just doing it to do it with hopes of it leading to something, then I don't know. I said it's just a weird time. 'Cause like I said, I started looking at a couple certs and reing up certs and stuff. Cause for example, like my GWAP is up. My GWAP is up next sometime next year. I think next summer. I still got a little bit of time, but it's like, do I pay that $500 whatever to re up right now? Especially if like I'm not it's not necessary for me. But again, things can change, right? This contract can burn, and I'm back in the mix again. So I don't know. It's a real weird time, and like I said, as you can see, I'm being very careful with my words just because it's a sensitive time for some folks, especially with everything that's going on and things like that. So, um, but yeah, man, like I said, whatever's gonna work best for you and yours at the end of the day. Um, like I said, it's just it's I think it's a weird time for everybody. Um, like we talked about in the Discord chat, I think life is lifing to everybody in their own way. Um, but like I said, you gotta stay the course and try to weather the storm. So what's the saying? Calm sea. What is it? Calm seas didn't don't make good sailors or something like that. You gotta weather it. So but yeah, man, like I said, we've been what else what can we chat about right now? What are the plans? Yeah, what's going on in July? Right. So July, I'm hoping that my July personally is a little more quieter, but it's crazy because me personally is I'm tied into what goes on at the center. So it's like on one hand I want it quiet for me, but at the same time I want it busy at the center because that means we're doing well and that means we're able to pay the rent every month. So it's like it's crazy. Like we got back when we got back from Connecticut, like we didn't have a camp, and like the first couple of days, I was home, doing my consulting gig, but it was like, oh man, good, I don't have to do anything. We're closed, whatever. And then it was like, man, I'm missing out on money. Or when we were in CT, and I'm again there with family and friends, and it's cool to kind of go there and recharge, and then I get a phone call from like one of my big customers, right? Like one of my favorite customers, and it's a group of guys, and they were looking to do like one of their late night gaming sessions, and I was like, man, I'm closed, I can't. And again, it's always for one, yes, obviously with a big group like that, it does pay to be open, but it's always a good time with those fellas too. So that sucked. So it's like you gotta find that balance of it's like, man, I need the business to be successful, but I also need to, rest and get time in with my family and stuff. So like I said, July I'm gonna try to find that balance. Like the first half of the month, we still got our camps. Like we got our game design camp coming up on the 14th of this month. That's actually being taught by two two game developers, two indie game developers, and they're also students at the local college that I'm on the advisory board of. And then we have our content creator camp the week after that, and then I think the 26th we're doing a lot on the 26th. So 26th is actually going to be our Fortnite community clash slash um, back to school because we go back to school. Kids go back to school first week of August, and then so that's going to be my July. My anniversary's coming up next week, so obviously I'm going to be chilling there. And then yeah, I got like I said, my baby girl's heading to college after that. Ever had a time when you felt like you're not doing enough in pen testing learning? Um, yes. And that's what led to like the first really bad burnout. Um, hey Claire, thank you. Yeah, that led to my first massive burnout. The when I wrote that article about the OSCP, that was the time where I felt like I didn't do enough, and imposter syndrome took over. And let me know if y'all can hear me because I got the microphone right here and I'm kind of leaning back. But yeah, that's when I felt like I wasn't doing enough. and that's when I, you know, let the hype of all the bull crap you see online, especially in the infosec community, um, take over, where it was like, man, you're not doing enough. You gotta keep studying, you gotta keep grinding, you gotta keep labbing, and all of those things are true. But what they don't tell you is that it needs to be done in moderation. You need to take breaks, right? You need to give your body and your mind that time to really rest. So remember, this is what, 2018, 2017, no, 2018, 2019, yeah, like 2018. There's going to be practice on, no, Claire, we're only closed tomorrow. We'll be back well, I'll be here Saturday. Can't speak for everybody else. I'll be here Saturday. um yeah, like I said, 2018, 2019 was when I was going after the OSCP. And to your point, to the point we were talking about earlier, when you said, when I was talking about if there's a incentive, if it's incentivized. So I had taken this role with a company, and I'm just gonna be completely transparent. I took this role with this company, and um, I didn't negotiate properly. I didn't. Let's just say I didn't completely know my worth. No problem, Claire. I hope you enjoyed your birthday as well. Um, yeah, like I said, I didn't negotiate properly, so they tried to find different carrots to dangle to get to that salary. So for me, uh, it was they should have given me the money. I was definitely worth that. But they said no. But if you get this OSCP in 6 months, you'll do it. And I want to say no, it wasn't. It was like 3 months actually. So they were like, yeah, if you can get it, yeah. 'Cause I had started a job, and then yeah, there. So anyway, whatever. They gave me this unrealistic timeline to study for it, and I was like, okay, fine. So now I'm getting up in the morning, seeing my kids off to school, doing working every day, coming home from work, and then I'm studying and labbing till like 1, 2 in the morning, and then I go to sleep, wash, rinse, repeat. Right, so I'm probably getting 3, 4 hours of sleep every night. Um, I'm just trying to grind away. And like I said, I missed the first OSCP. The first time I took it, I think I missed it by like, it's like 10 points, 10, 15 points. Awesome. I'm glad you got that time off. I'm glad you enjoyed it. But yeah, like I said, yeah, I missed it by, because I think the minimum passing score is 70, and I got like a 50. It was like a 55 or a 60. No, yeah, I missed it by 10 points, because I think I realized on a 20, if I would have got access on that 20 point box, I would have got half the points, and I would have been able to pass. So yeah, so I missed it by like 10 points. Anyway, rather than just kind of taking a small break, I think at that time you could retest in 2 weeks, and I went right back to the lab and right back at it. And then the second time I tested, that's when I tell the story. Everything locked up on me mid test. So I did the buffer overflow, and again, this is old. This is the old OSCP. Now I know I don't think they have all that now, so I can say that. But I did the buffer overflow. I'm going through it, and then all of a sudden, like, it felt like I just malfunctioned. Like my brain is telling my hands to type, but like I was just sitting. And then I remember just backing away from the computer at that point. I was like, you know what, I don't care if I fail, whatever. And then I told my wife, I said, yeah, I'm gonna take some time off before I go back and study. And like either that night, that the next morning, or the couple mornings after that, I ended up having to go to the hospital. So yeah, I have modes where I feel I should have done like desktop support, then net admin to system admin. However, I did help desk, but not all help desks are the same. Plus, man, I mean, everybody's path is different, man. Like everybody's path is every everybody's path. I'm just that's just all I'm gonna say, right? For me, that path worked for me, right? So doing the help desk, desktop support, and then doing like Windows sysadmin work um, before I transitioned over to pen testing, that helped. But yeah, I know some people who jump right into deep end. So mm, we as a community, and when I say we, I mean like the cybersecurity and folks be in that community. Um, they because especially in the last few years they glorified cybersecurity and the money you make in cybersecurity. Nobody wants to actually take the long route. Everybody wants to kind of just jump right in. So it's just a matter of applying what you learn and pacing yourself and doing things that way. I got to take this call real quick. Give me 1 second, y'all. All right, y'all. I'm back. All right, so yeah, yeah, man. Like I was saying, we let the I'm not even gonna say we because I re, I vividly remember telling people to go to make sure that they put the work in and do the stuff. And like I said, I was called all type of hater and gatekeeper and things like that. But we live in that popcorn microwave time where everybody wants the things to hurry up now rather than you know do it the right way, I guess. But um, you gotta be consistent. You gotta be eh, you got to be consistent and you got to know your stuff and knowing your stuff doesn't necessarily mean knowing it by heart. Knowing your stuff means knowing where to find the answer or knowing where to get the resource. That's the other misconception that a lot of people have with um, when it comes to these technical roles in cybersecurity, right? Everybody feels like they have to know everything about every single type. I tell people all the time, there's there's some stuff that I remember like the back of my hand, and then there's some stuff that I have cheat sheets for. There are stuff that I have tabs and bookmarks for. Um, you know what I'm saying? Like you asked me to run down, you asked me to run down, Nmap flags and TCP ports and uh, things like that. I got you all day. You asked me to go through an Active Directory pen test uh, blind. I'm using my cheat sheets and I'm using my mind maps. Um, saying I have even with APIs, right? I went from a point where I went from a point where I knew how to I knew exactly how I wanted to fuzz and exploit every single API. Um, to now I'm gonna use there's mind maps, right? Like things change, man. So there's nothing wrong with having that cheat sheet. It doesn't make you any less of of a hacker or a pen tester. And quite frankly, if it does, who gives a shit? I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're I mean, to me that's like people who that's like people who will sit there and try to ding you for points just because you don't know everything by heart. Like, bro. Mm. So you just you gotta do what works best for you. Hold on, my 3D printer just finished. Hold on. Hey, man, look, I got me a 3D printer when we got back, and I've been printing everything. I've been printing little tools. I've been printing stuff like the Nintendo Switch 2 came out. Um, I printed a ventilation for it because it kind of overheats at the bottom, and then I just kind of printed these wolves. Man, look, hey, I mean, I appreciate it. I miss you too, man. I missed y'all too. But these are things that y'all know, man. I'm just kind of reinforcing it. Like I said, I trust me. I'm fighting to get to that point of where things can be somewhat normal, man. I got so many things and so many ideas and so many stuff, just things I'm trying to do and get done. Number one, bring back InfoSec Unplugged. Um, well, that's top of the list on that, but also get these other programs out. The cybersecurity education, the cohorts, the teaching the cybersecurity stuff to like I have a cyber safety thing for that I'm trying to build out for senior citizens. Like there's so many things, man, and it's just it's if I'm being honest, like I said, it's a lot. It's stressful. It's at times lonely and frustrating, but you just you gotta stick with it, man. Like I knew it was gonna be. I knew it was gonna be. I knew it was gonna be a lot. Um, didn't know. I didn't know that it was going. That there was gonna be a lot of I guess politics involved. But then again, like I said, talking to my wife and my family when I was up in CT, it was like, you know what, anything worth having is there's gonna be some kind of resistance. There's gonna be some kind of whatever, and yeah, with with gaming being as big as it is, um, you should have expected there to be some type of politics. So, and like I said, I mean, in truth be told, like I said, I expected there to be some, but my gosh, the stories that like one day I'm gonna come up with a what's the word? I need to do like I need to come out with like a series of short stories, right? And in those short stories is going to talk a lot about things that go on, but I need to make sure I change names and all that other stuff. Cause my gosh, the crap that hold on, hold on, I'm looking for yeah the stuff that that goes on in this is like just so ridiculous. And then when you stop to think about it, and like, man, but we're talking about on the surface, people get confused because it's like it's just games. What could it what could possibly be so not necessarily cutthroat, but what could possibly be that crazy that it's like that for video games. And then when you get involved with the money behind it, that's where it kind of gets crazy. So yeah, like I said, man, my thing is like I'm trying to get to a point where we have some type of normalcy again, and just have that um I guess normal life. I don't know. I don't know. Um, hold on. So right now, I have to. I'm working. I have to scan something real quick. So, all right. Ooh. Do. Hold on. That one. What are we talking about? Golly, 6 hours, bro. No, no. All right, all right. So yeah, man. All right. What else? What else? What else are we? What else are we missing out on? Hey, shout out to everybody. What the hell? Okay, man. I'm telling you, it's weird times right now. Like I don't know what. Everything is just going crazy. It's been a weird day today for more than the obvious reason. Um, Microsoft. What? Yeah. Let me let me see. So I've heard some things. I mean, obviously, my heart goes out to all the people affected by the Microsoft layoffs. I know they announced like 9,000 yesterday, um, and that I don't think that was including any of the um, like contractors or stuff like that. But I think it's sad and it's quite frankly selfish. Um, there's a certain level of greed to it. And then the crazy part is like this is kind of running that having people run with that narrative of, oh, is AI coming to replace these jobs. And the crazy thing is it's not even so much that it's AI replacing the jobs, it's the fact that they want to free up the money to pay people to develop things in AI, right? You got people making what who the, they just hired Facebook or Meta just hired one of the OpenAI devs to $100 million salary. Like, don't get me wrong. Shout out to them for maximizing their earning potential and chasing the bag. Like, you will never hear me talk about, you know, somebody, you know what I'm saying? Because again, we told people before, um, to start learning AI, start learning how to talk to it, start learning how to use it, and not and well, if you're a pen tester or cybersecurity, how to find ways to manipulate it. So shout out to those people who are making that kind of money. But I mean, when you have these corporations and these companies, shedding their workforce just so that what I'm saying? It's like it's just strange times. It's strange times, and then they got they the Xbox division. They laid off a bunch of people over there as well, shut down studios. I mean, it's just it's so crazy. It's so crazy. But then when you look on the books, it's like, oh, they've made so much money. We're so profitable. We're this, we're that. And it's just it's like on one hand, it's like, okay, you're a business, and then but on the other hand, it's like, but do y'all gotta be that damn greedy? Give me 1 second. I have somebody here. I'm gonna talk to them, and I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Had to secure the bag. Had to secure the bag. And the bag has been secured. So I regret nothing. All right. Oh man. Let's see where we at. Microsoft, man. Um, let's let's see. Like and it's like it's crazy because they tell you to get get a stable job and all this other stuff, and it's like, look, Microsoft is laying off thousands of 9,000 employees, and again, this is the third one. I think this is the third one in this year because I think they just laid off they just laid off a few like last month or the month before, and I think there was some layoffs in January. Like this is crazy. So now they're saying this is going to affect less than 4% of the company, but it's 9,000 workers. I mean, I don't care if it's 4%. Like these are 9,000 workers, 9,000 people got laid off. Not in this economy right now, where they got bills to pay, they got what I'm saying. And this is the part that rent incoming. Yeah, so they laid off 7,000 people in May. So y'all laid off 7,000 people in May. Y'all laid off 9,000 people yesterday. That's 16,000, and that's just this year. This year. Hold on. So in 2023, they laid off 10,000 people. In May, see, okay, so that's giving different. Where was it? Seven. Okay, so 7,000. So this is 6,000. So y'all laid off. So 2023, y'all laid off 10,000 people. In May, y'all laid off 7,000 according to CNN, 6,000 according to Google, and now you just laid off another 9,000, right? And then there's little ones in between there too. So up until yesterday, y'all they laid off 6,000. Come on, man. Like, bro, the but the stock remained unchanged. Here's the thing that here's the thing that pisses me off about why is this screen okay. Here's the thing that pisses me off about um companies right now is that they're laying people off left and right. Whether it's for AI, whether it's hold on. Like y'all lay off all these people, and it's not just Microsoft, right? It's not just the tech sector. These companies are laying people off left and right, right? Like the the media gig I was at last year into the beginning of the year. Um, I left. I mean, I wasn't laid off, but I left. But earlier that year, they They laid off people, and
But
then
earlier that
come to find out it wasn't necessarily a money move, right? It was for other purposes. So it's like you got these companies that are making these decisions and playing with people's lives, playing with their livelihood, playing with their money. But then on the other hand, you're telling them to be a good employer. If they find something else or they decide to leave, make sure you give your 2 weeks or make sure you do like that's the part that is like on one hand, yes, you're the employer. They need you more than you need them, so to speak, because you're paying their salaries. But at the same time, you do need them because you can't make the money that you're making without them. And it's like, but you treat them like crap. You treat them like garbage. You don't give them what they're worth. You keep them just enough to scrape by, right? And that's for the lower to middle end, right? Then you got your managers and stuff like that. But even them, even these companies now with them, like they're they're overworked, right? It's like they're earning their salaries, right? They're earning those salaries, and like I said, and you're not paying them at least in the tech side, you're not paying them at the clip you were paying them back in 2020, 2021, 2022. You're not paying them like that no more. Granted, yes, you can still make six figures. Yes, you can still make $200,000 a year and all of that. But I mean, at this with the inflation and all of that, like it's not like 2020, 2021 was a good time in the tech space, right? Because you had all the extra money. But and but now it's like you're doing they're working for that money, right? Like they're probably doing more work to earn that now than what it was before. And I'm not saying that the work wasn't hard before either, but they're working a lot more to earn that money, only for you to then turn around and lay them off when your bottom line isn't as fat as you want it to be. And it's like that's the part that really bothers me. And it's easier said than done to say to go into business for yourself, because I'm gonna tell you right now, shit, I am not profitable um here with the center. I'm doing okay. I'm trying to work some deals. My goal is to hopefully start becoming profitable in the next year or so. Knock on wood. Um, but it's easier said than done. I was asked the other day if I had it to do all over again, would I have would I have opened up the center? And my answer is um, yes, but it depends, right? I probably would have, but I probably wouldn't have put so much of my own bread up, right? Like I put I put my own money up for all of this. I mean, with the exception of some people gifting some things or doing like raffles, but even then it was for prize money and it was for prizes and stuff. Um, oh, if they're laying people off, then why get tax cuts? GREED. That's the only thing I could think of because but they're not gonna pay taxes on overtime and tips. Do you okay? But everything else that you're cutting, the medical benefits and all of the Medicaid and all of that, like, do you make that much in overtime and tips that it matters? That you'll be able to pay for that difference? I'm sorry, I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into that. If they're laying, yeah, greed, greed. That's all. That's the only reason why. And I get it. Like I said, the name of the game is to be profitable. All right, right. Again, I am a business owner. I understand that. But if you have like Anybody who's done any work for me on a temporary basis or on a gig basis, I try to I try to give them what they're worth and then a little bit more, right? Like anybody who's worked done any event with me, I pay them well above minimum wage. Like I said, I'm not to the point where I can have full time staff, but like if I have a big gig coming up, I have my back to school bash coming up. I'll probably need some help for that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's weird. It's weird, man. Like, and my heart goes out to those people that, like I said, who got laid off because again, I just went through that a couple times. Right? I was late. I left one company because I chose to bet on myself. But then the other company I was doing contract work with. Well, it wasn't even contract. I told them I wanted to do contract. They asked me to come on full time. Um, and I did that as long as they gave me the freedom to kind of move how I needed to move with the center. But first sign of trouble, they laid me off, right? And you know, for everybody who's like, oh yeah, okay, fine, it's okay, they're gonna collect unemployment, depending on the type, but not necessarily. It depends. It depends. They say it's what they want. It's a wish list. It's a wish list, right? Like it's like if you go on a it's like if you go on a dating profile and it's like, oh my, a woman goes on a dating profile and she's like, my dream man has to be this tall, this much, make this much money, XYZ. Right at this point, that like for one, they're saying it. Yeah, it's a master. They want a master's degree, for an entry level role. Like if you have a master's degree and all you can get is an entry level role, then yeah, I want to know what the hell you went to school for. I get the like bachelors, I see that, right? Especially for folks who are moving into the tech space, right? You're getting a bachelor's degree, but you have no experience and no certifications, right? That's why I tell people certifications and hands-on experience will beat a bachelor's degree with no experience. I know. I've done it. You know what I'm saying? When you start talking master's degrees, you're talking management. You're talking CISO. You know what I'm saying? You're talking higher up. So there, unless you had a master's degree in something and you're starting over again, I don't see a situation where you're gonna have a master's degree and get an entry level role. And even then, with that master's degree, and let's say you do have a master's degree, and then you start over and you whatever, you'll have more room to negotiate. Well, at least normally, because I don't know what the hell's going on with the job force these days. Like I said, they lay people off, and then they turn around and then here's the other thing: is like, how do you lay off those kind of numbers? And again, I'm not just talking about Microsoft in general. Just all these companies that are laying people off by the thousands, Microsofts, the Googles, the Metas, the governments. Maybe it's because they're considered contractors or whatever the case. But how do they do that and then turn around and say the unemployment rate's the lowest it's ever been? I don't understand. And I'm not saying it to be political. I'm saying it because I don't fully understand. I'm saying it because I don't fully understand how there are people I know directly or indirectly who are affected damn near daily with getting laid off or struggling to find jobs. I know people who are on almost 2 years of looking, and they are highly qualified, and they can't find anything because of whether it's they refuse to take significantly less money or whatever the case may be. But you have these people who are struggling like that, but they're talking about unemployment's the lowest it's ever been. I don't. I need to see how they calculate those numbers. Again, I'm not picking a side. I don't care about the side. I don't care about either side. I think everybody is full of crap. I think everybody is serving the interests of whoever they are serving, and it's not the people. So don't take this and clip it and try to turn it into something out of, because I'm telling you right now, both sides can kick rocks. I'm just saying I don't understand how the math works in whether in either administration. Because even in the last administration, when they were saying unemployment's great, the unemployment's low, unemployment numbers are low, but people were struggling, right? Oh, it's easy to find a job, but I was one of the people who was looking for a job the last time, right? Like, and I'm gonna be honest with you, if I didn't go the consultant route, I don't know if I would have found if I would have found comparable full time work, right? Like I had the media job, but that was more of a, I wouldn't say it was the the media gig was cool, but that was another situation where the powers that be started playing in everybody's face. And I'm sorry, I'm not the one. I'm not. You're not gonna play with me in my face and lie to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm. That's just not how I operate. Um, if we have an agreement and we have an agreement in writing, um, I expect the agreement to be honored, especially if I'm holding up my end of the bargain. Um, but even then, that wasn't technically the tech sector, right? That was the media. That was the media space. But even then, like I said, they laid people off, and then when you start getting into some of these rooms and you start hearing that it wasn't for, it's not like the company was struggling, right? Like that's the part that blew my mind. And then of course you hear about it before, you hear about it in other situations, like I said, tech companies, like they're like, hey, you know, we want to lay people off before our quarterly earnings report, so it makes it look, so that we get these numbers off the books, and it inflates the numbers and makes us look like we're super profitable to our shareholders and all of that. So you hear about it with the big companies, but then when you have a company that again that's walking around talking about, oh, we're a family and we believe in all core values and yay and all this other bullshit, and I call it bullshit because that's how it is for them. I believe I'm not saying that it's not a realistic thing. Like you should believe in your core beliefs, and you should treat your employees, or you should give a damn about what your employees are doing. You should be invested in their well being. Now, if they're taking advantage of your kindness, then that's a different story. But if you have people who are working for you and doing right by you, to lay them off and then be like, yeah, we're restructuring, yada yada yada, and then like I said, but then behind the scenes y'all are laughing. And I'm not saying it from speculation. I'm saying it because I was there when a lot of this, when in those meetings when people started to restructure, and then they realized, oh crap, we probably let go of the wrong person, and now we need to scramble and we need to pivot. And now I'm in a lot of these situations and a lot of these calls where things needed to pivot, and then it's like, well, if why would you do that? Where you Why would you do that when why would you make the decision you made when you did? You should have probably done XYZ. I mean, was it a situation that it was that bad that you just had to let go of said person or whatever? And then it's like, oh no, in fact, we're gonna go ahead and make another acquisition or something like that. Like, and again, these are just I'm just spitballing here, but like that's the part that blows my mind when dealing with some of these companies. But then they turn around and talk about how they value their people, they value their employees. Um, Ty said, so loyalty isn't worth it. Um, not not like it used to be. The days of people working 25, 30, 40 years and getting like that gold watch and certificate. I'm not saying it's completely over, but it's definitely going to be few and far in between. Especially when, not for nothing, especially when you have this generation. This generation is not this next generation coming up, for better or for worse, is not going to put up with the BS. Like we were raised, you don't talk about it. You just kind of keep your head down. This generation will put you on blast, even if it's to their own detriment. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying that that's what it is. So I've been ranting and raving a long time. Many in cybersecurity are saying this. It's easy to find a job. I won't drop names, but due to their connections, they move from one role to another. Um, the conversation I've had some conversations about certain things, but again, your network. I'm gonna say this: your network is your net worth, right? Some people have a some people have a reputation for the work that they do. Some people have a reputation for their follower count. Some people have a reputation for the people that they know and that will advocate for them. I'm not saying one is more important than the other. Me, skills pay the bills, right? But for example, I've probably pissed off a lot of people in my time, especially from my platform, because of the things I stood up for and things that I believe in. So when I called certain things out and I called it out on InfoSec Unplugged, that probably played a role in why people didn't want to mess with me or whatever, because I said the things that people were scared to say. But then again, like I said, the situation that I'm in now is also because of some relations that I have with people who know me and know beyond that. They know my value. So, um, you know what I'm saying? It yes, certain certain people from certain backgrounds and certain connections are able to just kind of jump from role to role and not even sometimes not even get an interview. Um, Shoot, I lost out on a role that was told it was basically mine for the taking from day one before I even did the first interview. And then someone who had a bigger name in the industry than I did came in and said, "Hey, I'm looking for a job," and they said, "Oh, here you go. Sorry, Devin." You know what I'm saying? Again, it's the nature of the beast. And again, your network is your net worth. I'm not I'm not here to say whether it's completely fair or not, but it is what it is. Um, um, you know, certain people are able to make certain moves easier than others just because of they're the they're in the right place at the right time, or they know the right people. And like I said, it sucks. It's not always fair, but life isn't fair either. So it's the you can do it the best you can for as long as you can until you can do something better. And that like the if anything, these last where we almost we're 2025. Anything I've learned in the last 3 years is that you know what the show goes on. Because trust me, I'm pretty sure Ty, uh, you won't drop names, but I'm pretty sure the names on your list might be the same names on other lists. Um, but I can't knock it. You know what I'm saying? Like made they made that name for themselves, and they're able to leverage that. And then and even burn bridges along the way. Like that's the other part that they don't talk about. They're even able to burn bridges along the way and still get opportunities. So not even like they did it and they left amicably or whatever. It's like they go and like f stuff up and then still make and are able to make the next move. And like I said, I'm and by no means am I am I hating. Like I said, some people are more fortunate than others. Like I said, for me personally, um, I've been the recipient on both sides of the coin, right? Like I've been in situations where, like I said, those people, certain people, because of their name recognition and because of the wow factor of who they are or what they're known for or whatever, can walk into a room that and walk into a spot that I've had 3 4 interviews and then they go, hey, are you hiring? And they go, yep, come right on in, right? And then on the flip side, I've had people advocate for me where because of that advocacy, I was able to bypass the resume. I still had to go through the interview process. Don't get me wrong. I still had to go through the interview process and all of that. Because of that person, like they probably wouldn't be checking for me before. Um, they probably wouldn't be checking before, so they wouldn't be checking for me before, but now because a certain person said, nah, go this person said that they applied or whatever, um, now they went looking for it. Um, if you don't stand up for something, you fall for anything. No, that's facts. That's facts. That's facts. But like I said, not everybody is built the same. Not everybody is built the same. Not everybody has the same beliefs. Not everybody moves moves with the same type of whatever. Some people have different ideas of what they consider to be integrity, right? So like I tell my kids, I don't care what it is, you will never compromise your integrity. Never compromise. I don't care. For my son and for my daughter. Never I don't care what the price is, you are never to compromise your integrity. You are never like your soul does not have a dollar amount. There isn't a price tag on your on your soul. So um, what that means for them and what that might mean for their friends or might be two different things. So if like heck, they can go out there in the world and determine that what whatever decision is that they can make isn't going to compromise their integrity. They're going to keep their integrity intact, and that might be different for me. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is just you know if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna put in the work, do the work, be a good freaking human being in the process. Um, like I said, it doesn't help that these companies, like I said, they don't. I don't think they move with the same level of integrity, and I think that's what's also causing the rift. The force is strong with you. Nah, man, it's just, again, you go through a lot of things. You deal with some stuff, and after a while, it's just like, all right, cool. What are you willing to stand for, right? Like, go to going back full circle to the what we were talking about before with feeling like you're not doing enough, right? Had I negotiated my value, had I stood my ground and not moved with such desperation, would I have felt that pressured to force myself to do what I did in order to get the OSCP, even though I didn't get it, failed it, and then ended up hospitalized and probably haven't been the same since, right? So that lesson, and then seeing, and then just kind of moving and progressing through my career, like I said, I got to a point where, no, I know my worth, especially when I see what my skills command out there. When I see how much, like, it's to me, there's no bigger eye opening experience than when you see what your work brings the company you work for. Like, that was the eye-opening experience for me. And like I said, I think I've talked about this before on InfoSec Unplugged, or maybe not. I don't know. But for me, that was an eye-opening experience when you're in these rooms with these companies and they're negotiating for your services, right? So Ty, let's say I run a pen test shop. I'm on a call with a client, and then as a part of the pick kickoff or whatever, I bring you in onto the call. So now you're on the call. I'm introducing you, saying, "This is my employee Ty. He's going to be the one conducting your pen test. Ty, run down your credentials, right?" And now let's say you have all these credentials. You have these certifications. You have these years of experience. You have the technologies. You have whatever, right? You have all these things under your belt. And then the client goes, "All right, cool. Yes, we would love for Ty to run the pen test on our thing, on our system." And then you find out that they're being charged something like 40, 50K for a pen test that you're running. And all I'm doing is waiting for you to finish the test to say test is concluded. You to finish a report for me to say here's the report, and then get on the call and go, okay, so here's the findings. Have you read out the findings, make sure they're satisfied with it, tell you to go back and tweak whatever needs to get tweaked in the report, and then send out the final report to get the second half of the payment. Like, imagine, and you're not using anything crazy. You're not using any commercial tools. You're not doing anything that commands whatever, right? Because I can see, like, so for example, like, let's say you had the commercial Metasploit Pro or whatever the case may be, right? Or you have Nessus, right? Let's say it costs you 10 grand a year. It costs you 10 grand a year for this license, and again, I'm lowballing. But let's say it costs you 10 grand a year to run this software. You just made that back in one pen test, and you're running pen tests like a puppy mill. So you're running pen tests every twice a month. You personally, not the rest of the pen testers on the roster. You personally, you're doing two pen tests a month, and they're charging anywhere from 40 to 50K. That's 80 to 100 grand a month that they're making off of you. when you start to see those kind of numbers, and you're getting paid, I don't know, let's call it 110, 120. I mean, it's still a decent salary, but you're making 120K, and they're making 100K a month off of you alone, right? Oh, but the benefits. Okay, but then when you actually go do math, if they paid you more, or if they paid you more comparable salary based on the work you're doing and the money that they're bringing in, you could pay for your own insurance, right? I'm speaking from experience, because I'll name names, because I like I said, I talk when I'm right, I'll talk when I'm wrong. Ty Wilson and John Brett, like those two people are my brothers, like through and through. Like if they if you got a problem with them, you got a problem with me, straight up. But I remember on two separate occasions, they were telling me that I should go into business for myself. I should do my own consulting. I should move. And when I tell you, it got the conversations got heated. Not that like we were like arguing. Well, we were debating, because I was trying to say to them, nah, I need the stability. I need the insurance. I can't deal with the contracts. What if you get laid off? And what if they terminate the contract early? And then I got to do my own taxes and all that. And they were like, bro, it's not that hard. Like, you just got to do it. And I'm like, yeah, I just don't feel comfortable doing that. And now in the last 3 years, now I was put in a position where I was forced to go into business for myself, not with the center, but from the consulting side. And now I see it wasn't that big of a deal, right? Ty, BSD Bandit, right? He was another one that was like, bro, I don't know what you doing. You wasting your time. You need to go this route. Once you get into it's rough at first, but once you get into it, you'll be fine. And he's like, you do you whatever, you put off whatever you need to do for taxes and XYZ. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And I'm like, I just felt like I didn't have the discipline. But now I'm like, I don't know if now I feel like I need to try to land more contracts. So you know what I'm saying. And then there's also a different way that it so for me that was an eye opening thing when it was like, you're making a minimum of 80 to 100K a month. But if I ask for a raise, you gonna tell me there's no money in the budget. You had this company in particular had four pen testers, and we all were running. Well, no, one guy was junior, so he would assist on pen tests, or yeah, he would assist on pen tests, or if it was a bigger test. But you had three independent testers that are running 2 to 3 pen tests a month, because you had some assessments that were 2 weeks at a time, you had some assessments that are 1 week, and you were running it like a puppy mill. So if you talk about if you talk about let's just meet somewhere in the middle and call it 45K, and you're running two pen, that's 90K. That's 90K a month off of one person. You have three full-time pen testers all running that. That's 9 3 two. So you're making 270K minimum a month off of these pen testers. And when I say a month, it was a month, because it was all there was always another pen test. There was always like always another pen test. I don't think in that time I was there, I don't think I did any less than two pen tests a month, maybe once or twice, like towards Christmas time. Um, and that would depend because if companies were trying to clear the books or whatever, the budget for whatever for the next year, then it was crazy. Then April, May, and early June was always crazy because then you had the fiscal year starting July 1, and they got to get the money off the books. So you know what I'm saying. So it was like, so when you talk about people making almost 300K just off their pen testing services, if they had other stuff going like a sock team or whatever, like they're making a killing. So when you start to have those type of conversations, or you're starting to sit in those rooms, or you're seeing that type of stuff move around, it changes because now you're like, hold up, you're paying me how much, but you're making how much? And I'm not, and yeah, I granted they got overhead, right? They pay for travel, they pay for uh, the tools at times, they pay for the facility, right? The building that they're in or renting or whatever, if they don't already own it. You know what I'm saying? So yes, there is certain overhead, but you're definitely profitable, right? I think about on a smaller scale with the center, right? Like I might go somewhere. Like I remember having a conversation with with one of my younger workers, and they were like, "Wait, you charge how much, or how much you're making off of this event?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I made 2 grand off of this event." And they're like, "Yo, that's crazy. Oh, so you made 2 grand? So that means you're making, that means you're making a lot of money." I'm like, "No, well, for one, I'm not as active like that. Like that was my one big event that month, but my rent is also around that same amount, and then I still have utilities, and then I still have to pay for the software and other things that I'm using. So it's like I get it. I get there's an overhead, but you can't tell me your overhead is 300K a month. I'm looking at building my own skill set. I know some things are not solid, some won't test. Man, look, if you're doing the pen test, if you're doing pen testing, then you'll know how to do phone testing. Or when you say phone testing, you mean like going in and like reverse engineering and stuff like that, because all of blah, 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 blah. All of vulnerability assessment is a is just a pen test without exploitation. Pen test is recon, scanning and analysis, exploitation, post exploitation, report writing, right? And that's not if you that doesn't count the pre-engagement phase, right? But just the pen test alone, the process of a pen test: enumeration, scanning and analysis, exploitation, post exploitation, report writing, vulnerability assessment: enumeration, scanning and analysis, and that's it. What's going on, Flatten? Appreciate the support. That's those are that's the difference. You don't do exploitation post exploitation. So vulnerability is enumeration, scanning, so enumeration and reconnaissance, scanning and analysis, report, or I should say invalidation. Okay? So enumeration and reconnaissance, scanning analysis and validation, report. Pen test: enumeration and reconnaissance, scanning analysis and validation, exploitation, post exploitation, report. and you're already and most pen testers are writing as they're testing. So there's really no pivot you have to do on the vulnerability assessment side. It's just honestly just it's just learning how to do uh, tables in a spreadsheet when you deliver it to the client. Like, so if you're going to go down the pen testing route, you're already learning vulnerability testing. You're already learning vulnerability assessment because you still have to validate. You still have to validate, right? So that means you still have to make sure that the vulnerability is indeed a vulnerability and not a false positive. So you still got to do a little bit of fuzzing. You still got to do a little bit of research. You still got to validate that, okay, if it's saying that it's running this software. Let's say you're doing a vulnerability assessment on an application and it's running an outdated version of Node.js. Okay, cool. I'm gonna look at I'm how do you validate that? Well, it says this is running Node.js version 10. What's the current version of Node.js? 11. Okay, how do you validate that? I need to screenshot somewhere in the application's code that shows that it's running this version of Node and show that the version of this is the current version. Boom, that's your vulnerability. Everything doesn't have to be hacked. Everything doesn't have to be breached or exploited. A vulnerability can literally be you're running an outdated version of this software. You're running an outdated version of this driver. You're running an outdated version of this operating system. Why? Because the potential of an exploit can is there. Remember, you have threats, risks, and vulnerabilities. The risk is there. You may not be able to exploit it because A, you're not allowed to, right? Because there are things called scopes and rules of engagement. So, for example, you have a scope or rules of engagement. Most rules of engagement says you can't do any destructive testing. What's destructive testing? Destructive testing is something that can cause a denial of service condition on an application. So you have anything that can cause a denial of service, anything that can take a service offline, you can't do. So if the exploit risks that, you don't even take that risk, and Ty, as you're doing stuff with bug bounties and stuff like that, especially if you're working on an application that's in production. You take down something in prod, that's a problem. So in those situations, what do you do? Okay, I know that it's running this version, and because of that, these vulnerabilities, there's a risk of it being vulnerable to these possible exploits. I can't. Yes, it's scan. No, but you still have to validate. You still have to validate because this is where people get. This is where people in the field get it messed up. Is that they will call themselves a pen tester. They'll go on platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, and all these things, right? And they'll say, "Hey, I'm gonna do a pen test for you," and they will run OpenVAS, right? And anybody who knows pen testing knows that OpenVAS is an open source vulnerability scanner, and it's cool for basic purposes, but it's not trusted enough to actually go do or like pen testing on a real commercial business, right? This is where you want to pay a license to get like a tenable Nessus or another thing like that. OpenVAS is not for OpenVAS should not be trusted for commercial use, right? Unless it's changed in the last whatever. Because I told you I'm 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But traditionally, OpenVAS has not been trusted to do to do that. But people will run these scans, or people will run a Nessus scan, a Nessus, the free version of Nessus, run a scan, submit the report, and say, this is your pen test, or this is your vulnerability assessment. Right? I've seen it. I've seen it. One of my consulting gigs, I said, can I see your previous pen test report? And they gave me a write up that was poorly written, and they gave me an open VAS scan report. So it's like that's and walk out and say, how much did you charge? How much did they charge you? Oh, they charged me 15, 20K. So they paid it because they figured, oh my gosh, these people are coming in cheaper than most of these other shops that are charging 40, 45, 50K, 60K. They only charged me 20, but they charged you 20K. You paid 20K for scan results, and they didn't even validate it. They just literally printed it and submitted it. They didn't check. So now when you go back and check everything, it's like that's a false positive. So that's where I tell you, make sure you be careful with that, because but vulnerability testing, in its essence, vulnerability testing is scanning, validation, producing the report. You do still have to do a certain level of reconnaissance. You do have to do a certain level. You should be doing a certain level of reconnaissance. Hold on. I need my chat bot to stop because these damn bots with the freaking stupid links. But anyway, come on a cybersecurity person's link thing and talk about, yeah, find the best viewers on this spam account that's possibly malware. But anyway, yeah, that's where people get it confused. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go run a vulnerability scan and call that a pen test, and then the company either finds out or they don't know any better, and then when they have to do it, or when they do get hit with a breach, and then during the course of the investigation, they're like, when's your last pen test? And they go, oh yeah, we just did one, and they look and you see that it was literally just a freaking vulnerability scan. Like, it's stupid. So yeah, man. And but that being said, there are a lot of small businesses that will that would like that information, I should say. Right? I I've flirted with the idea. It's just, again, full circle to what we were talking about earlier. Just gotta find the time. So so yeah, man. Like I said, I hope that helps. We are approaching 2 hours now. So I'm gonna get out of here. I gotta get ready for. Well, actually, tomorrow's a holiday, so I need to. But so I'm gonna go home, get some dinner, and then I'm actually going to start editing my vlog. So we recorded a lot of footage and a lot of content while we were in North Carolina for the national Fortnite tournament, and I'm gonna turn that into a small vlog. So I'm gonna start editing that tonight, because I can't, I ain't got it like that to be paying editors yet. So I'm gonna get up out of here. Actually, I might even go set up my other VR headset. So yeah, I'm gonna get up out of here though. I appreciate y'all for kicking it. Ty and uh who is our new commenter? Where you at? Flatten. Some of our other regulars, thank you for tuning in. I'm gonna get up out of here, get me some food, and I'm going to go scream at my computer while I mess around with DaVinci Resolve and get this content done. I No, it's no. I will be back on Saturday with the Overwatch crew, just hanging out with them. Um, like we said before, um, it's we're in some strange times, so just do your best to keep your head above water. Do what you got to do until you get better, and you know, uh, keep it pushing. I'm going to try to do the same. So, um, let's get you some good luck with some of that. Let's get you that. Let's get another applause. All right, y'all be good. I will holla at y'all next time. Like I said, I gotta take this call. I'm gonna get on this phone call, and then I'm gonna get up out of here. And yeah, see y'all later.